Hey IED students, we just finished up creating an extra cam on top of our originals. Now that we've done that, you can certainly reassign a different color or a different material, whatever you might want on these cams that you have. That's just a little extra piece that if you're wanting to make it look all cutesy, you certainly can do that. And one more on the snail here. All right. So if we hit the home button and get back to our box, the next item that we need to do is make an adjustment along the top so that the follower rods can actually go down through the top of this box. So instead of creating a new sketch, I'm actually going to edit sketch number 4, which was where the top of this box was created. I'm going to create a construction line that goes all the way across from the far left to the far right, directly through that center from front to back. And then I'm going to start placing a circle with a diameter of 3/16 of an inch. And I'm going to set this first one as being a distance of 0.75 inches away from that far left edge. And now instead of creating 5 more holes just like this and separating them by space, I'm going to use the linear pattern on this circle. So I'm going to change the number here by double clicking. I'm going to change that to 6 total. And obviously that goes right off the box. So the next thing to change would be this distance between. I'm going to set that at 5/8 of an inch. And it's not perfectly centered, but it looks good enough to left click and keep here. When we hit the green check mark then, the holes are automatically created for us. All right. So in the Assembly tab then, we are now ready to start bringing in our cams, and in the next video, we'll bring in the followers and all those pieces. So let's bring in the cams. So when we hit Insert, it's going to search through the Part Studios, and yep, I want my parametric heart, I want my parametric circle, I want my parametric eccentric. Now for my hexagon, I want to open that drop down so that I can make sure I bring in the blob, the one that we created with the spline. The same for the pear, I want the blob one brought in, and for the snail, I want the blob one brought in. Once again, if you created the heart cam from my video, then you have a perfectly good cam to use. Otherwise, you'd need to bring in the blob shape for that one as well. It doesn't matter which cam goes where. The circle cam is the least interesting, so I'm actually going to fasten that one on the far left edge. So I'm going to start with this pear cam and grab that center opening, and I'm going to make sure I actually attach it to the axle itself. So I'm going to click there. It brings it in, and then I just want to make sure that this gets centered underneath one of these holes. So I'm going to click on Offset, Z-axis. I'm going to try 3/8 of an inch. It's close. I'm going to try 1/4 of an inch. Okay, let's try 5/8. Too far. So what's between 3/8 and 5/8? Other than 4/8, 1/2. I brought it back a little bit. So what's between 3/8 and 4/8? Well, it's 7/16. That looks really pretty good. A little far left. 6/16, I guess we're going back to 3/8. I should have stuck with 3/8, obviously. But it's a little bit of a guessing game because we're basing it off of the center of the axle to try to line this up. Okay, let's do another fastened mate. Let's do this eccentric cam. Once again, we're going to click on the axle itself to place it, and we'll offset it. So that last one was 3/8, so let's try 7/8 and see what happens. Not quite far enough, so 1 whole inch. That looks pretty good. It might be a little over an inch, but that looks decent. And then the last one I'm going to put on the left half there is the circle cam. Make sure you get that mate connector selected. It's not wanting to play nice. There we go. And then we'll offset that 1 3/8. I'm going to type in 1 + 3/8. Definitely not far enough, so 1 + 7/8. 5/8 maybe. That looks pretty good. Okay, next up we're going to put the other cams on the right half. So once again, always selecting the axle itself. So now to go to the right, we're going to need negative. So let's try negative 3/8. That's too far. Negative 1/4. That looks pretty good. Doesn't have to be perfectly centered or perfectly below the hole, but we just got to get close. Next up, we've got the Hex Cam. And once again, selecting the axle. And negative 5/8. Try that out. Not far enough. Negative 1 inch. Too far, so let's try negative 7/8. There we go. That looks good. And lastly, the heart cam fastened mate here. Selecting the axle. And offsetting negative 1 and 3/8. So notice that I put my negative outside the parentheses to make sure that the whole thing is negative. Let's try negative 1.5 basically. That looks pretty good. So you can certainly type it as negative 1.5 and that'll get you the same thing. All right. So now the moment of truth. If we animate our revolute mate, we should see all of these cams rotating. The only one that we won't sense any change in would be the circle cam. So let's go ahead and right click, animate, choose loop, and then click play. That is awesome. So we see every single cam turning and spinning. The only one we can't perceive a change in would be the circle cam. All right, so everything has been constrained correctly. We're good to go with these cams. I'll see you in the next one.